the way in which every demographic has turned against Israel over this shit in Gaza. Except essentially boomer Republicans who are still as strong as they've ever been in supporting them. But Israel it's really in many ways like the third rail of American politics. Like, this is the thing you are not allowed to talk about. This is the thing that would get you fired from CNN, would get you kicked out of D.C., would get your career ruined. Pat Buchanan made a joke once on the McLaughlin Group, like years ago, like decades ago. He made a joke once where he said something about, he said Congress is Israel-occupied territory or something like that. And for the rest of his career, this was the scandal. Hit pieces were written about this. Now, the young people are totally outside of that ecosystem, and they're just hearing from different people, and they're like, no, I'm not buying it. And it's, I think it's a mix of a few things. Like, I think it's just that, we have the technology. It's in 4K. You can see what Israel's doing to Gaza. It is so evil that it's damn near impossible to find a way. I mean, some people do, but it is really difficult to find a way to be like, I'm actually okay with that. It's been going on for years at this point. And then the second thing is just that, like, the relationship between the U.S. government and the Israeli government is so freaking bizarre that once you see it, and once a whole generation of young people see it, it's like impossible for them to unsee it. And it's just too weird.
In New York City mayoral politics.
Yeah, like it's just, and the idea that it is, the idea that it's just accepted as normal that the politicians for your country must worship this other country. And you're like, so what did that other country like beat us in a war and they're occupying us now? And you're like, no, you're the superpower. They're your welfare country, but yet you must go kiss their wall. You must say, Tammy Bruce from the State Department. Literally and I know she was kind of being tongue in cheek, but where she goes, we're the greatest country in the world. Well, second greatest to Israel. And you're like, what?
Was she being tongue-in-cheek?
I don't know exactly. It was
a weird thing to say.
That is a weird thing for any representative of your government to say. If anyone sat there and went, I think America is the greatest country in the world. Well, Finland, I guess, is the greatest, and we're number 2. You'd be like, what? I'm like, Finland's a cool country. I got nothing against them, but what are you talking about, Yeah. But really, I do think it's the relationship. It's how horrible what Israel's doing is, and it's how clearly it's not in our national interest. You do kind of have to question the relationship between D.C. and Tel Aviv and like what is going on here, because this is so utterly bizarre. It's so crazy to see like the American people are against what Israel's doing to Gaza. It obviously hurts it hurts our, as they use in the preamble to the Constitution. I like that phrase, domestic tranquility, right? This is destroying our domestic tranquility. We got protests. We got people fighting over this stuff. We're pissing off the Muslim world again, which we've already had to deal with, them hating our guts. Now
we're deporting students.
We're deporting legal residents because they had the wrong opinion. This is all, and like, it's impossible to not look at this and go like, hey, what's going on here? And they don't have any answer for that. And the other thing, too, is that it's just, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a lot of people now trying to jump off of the sinking ship. A lot of people who are even like supporters of Israel who are kind of going like, I think they are going a little too far on this one. And they're trying, because it's just, you can see the writing on the wall all over the place, man. Like you're going to be looked at. This is going to be the period. And it's not even like supporting the war in Iraq. It's like much worse than that, dude. Like you're just supporting this destruction. They just launched another offensive on Gaza City the other day. They're bombing rubble. Like it's just it's biblical levels of evil. And we're sitting here, like even as we're having this conversation now, I know like a few. I remember like coming on the podcast like a couple years ago, like when this conflict first started, and then when it would go, and it was almost like I was coming on like to be like, look, let me present the argument for why we shouldn't support what Israel's doing here, and let me like try to like present the other side of the debate. I feel now like the debate's over. I don't even think there's like much of a debate to be had. I'll keep doing them if somebody wants to come debate about the issue. But what are we talking about here? Dude, South Africa brought a genocide case to the International Court of Justice. And the International Court of Justice ruled that what Israel was doing to Gaza was plausibly a genocide. 21 months ago. Since then, I know at least to Ehud Olmert and Ehud Barak, both former prime ministers of Israel, have come out and said Netanyahu's committing war crimes in Gaza. Now, they didn't call it a genocide, but they called it war crimes. So that's where your debate is at this point. Where are we between genocide and war crimes? What area in there does this occupy? But how the fuck do you defend any of that, dude?
And the real question is, how does this end?
No, it seems to be with ethnically cleansing the entire strip. Seems the most likely bet right now.
And then what do they do with Gaza? Like, how long is it going to take before that even looks normal again?
Well, I mean, I don't
look at the massive destruction, just the sheer scope of it.
Yeah, it's like 80% of the structures have been leveled.
So crazy. If anybody flying over that with a drone and they tell you that's the only way they could have done this, that seems nuts.
Yeah.
And the fact they keep doing it, it's like, how does this end? You know? Like, what happens if the, you know, Israel has publicly said, and Netanyahu talked about it on the podcast, that they're losing the PR, or what do you call it? Did you say PR propaganda?
Yeah, something like the PR
campaign. But what does that mean? It means the people see what's going on and they don't support it. And you think they're wrong. Okay, well, how much further can you go with this before everybody disagrees?